TaxAct understands you haven't memorized the tax code. That's why TaxAct has live experts to help. TaxAct can even do it for you if you prefer. It's the easiest way to know you're doing it right. Well, other than going back to college and obtaining a bachelor's degree in accounting with a minor in finance, then interning somewhere and becoming fluent in all tax forms. But that might be hard to accomplish before tax day. So maybe just stick with TaxAct. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Sunday morning. Well, with us today is Congressman Lawler. And a lot of things on everybody's mind this week. And you had some interesting meetings this week, Congressman. And tell us how you really feel, because everybody is all excited between Iran, excited about domestic stuff, excited about energy policy in our state. Where do you want to start this morning?
Well, obviously the terrorist attack in New York City last week and the potential devastation that could have been wrought, mass casualties had those bombs detonated from the ISIS-inspired radical Islamic terrorists in our city certainly is of grave concern. The NYPD acted heroically, as they always do, and were able to ensure everybody's safety. But it really, raises the issue of the Department of Homeland Security and the need to ensure that it is fully funded, and for Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries to stop this political nonsense of keeping the department shut down. It is creating havoc across the country at airports with TSA agents not being paid, our Coast Guard, which right now, we have Coast Guard, officers off the coast of Iran. You have the Secret Service, which obviously is tasked with protecting the president, among other dignitaries. And you look at FEMA and, the disasters that they have to deal with on a given day. So the time for this nonsense has come to stop. And I think it's imperative that we get the department fully funded this week.
I agree with you 100%. But the facts are that, let's take the TSA, and I spoke to a few other people about it. Every time you buy a ticket, an airline ticket, you pay like $5.60 towards the TSA. I mean, this money is already paid by the consumer. How come they're not turning it over?
Well, there's such a challenge here. Obviously, the airlines, contribute towards some of the costs associated with running these airports and managing it. But overall, on the whole here, I mean, this department, Homeland Security, which was created in the aftermath of 9/11 and really was focused on coordinating the effort across the country to ensure the safety of the homeland, and that includes TSA, obviously, with airport screenings to make sure that we don't have terrorists getting on these flights. This is vital. And there shouldn't even be a question of funding this. There shouldn't even be a question of making sure that these hardworking TSA agents are being paid. And this is the second time in a matter of months that Chuck Schumer has plunged us into a shutdown that is impacting, the ability of Americans to travel. That's impacting the ability of these TSA agents to put food on their table and provide for their families. So it needs to stop. We need to make sure that the funding is fully there and that the department is fully operational, especially given the situation in the Middle East and the heightened risk of terrorist attacks here at home.
Well, where do you think that money is from the TSA? Is it in the general fund, or is it laying someplace?
I'd have to look into that more specifically as to where the funding goes from that transfer from the consumer
already
companies.
Because if the consumer already paid and they have to wait online for 3 hours, somebody, if in New York State, if I collect the sales tax from the consumer and I don't turn it over, I can go to jail.
Well, of course, but here you have a situation where the department isn't even funded, so it's not able to pay out these agents. It's not.
But
able
the money
to
is coming in.
Process payroll.
But the money is coming in.
Sure, there's money being collected. But ultimately, that's an accounting issue when the money is transferred, et cetera. But the fact is, they cannot even process payroll because the department is not funded. It's not shut down. It's shut down. So the TSA agents are not being paid directly, and that is a fundamental problem here.
And that's what the average listener that we have is really upset because they don't know how to handle that. What else you want to talk about this morning?
Well, just a little over a week ago, I had Secretary of Energy Chris Wright visit my district in the Hudson Valley, and we visited Indian Point. And one of the things that we discussed was, rebuilding and reopening the power plant there. It never should have been shut down. It was safe. It was clean. It was reliable. We've seen since the announcement of Indian Point shutdown, utility rates in New York have skyrocketed 58% since 2019. This was very foolish by former Governor Cuomo to shut this down. You see in Michigan, Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer has announced the reopening of the Palisades nuclear power plant. And in fact, it's going to reopen by Holtec, the same company that is handling the decommissioning of Indian Point. They're going to be reopening it the end of May of this year. And that's going to produce over a gigawatt of power. Indian Point can produce upwards of 2.4 gigawatts of power, which would be vital to New York.
It is crazy that we closed it. Do you know that Albany, and I know you're not responsible for Albany, but you're a congressman and you can yell and scream. They want all our new buildings to be all electric, and meanwhile we don't have any electricity.
It's insane. There's not enough solar panels and wind turbines to produce the level of electricity that they're talking about. 70% of electricity nationwide is generated by natural gas. You need natural gas. You need nuclear power. We need solar. We need wind. But you need to do an all of the above approach. It's why we're working on permitting reform down in Washington. But New York State needs to change its policies. It needs to recognize that what they tried to do is disastrous to the consumer. It has not made the grid cleaner. In fact, it is dirtier since Indian Point shut down, and cost has risen exponentially. So we need to reverse course. We need nuclear. We need natural gas. The governor and the legislature need to act.
I agree. Now, it's not about Democrats and Republicans. It's about common sense. And that's all we want is common sense.
Correct.
Well, Congressman Lawler,
Lawler,
thank you so much for coming on this Sunday morning, and may common sense prevail. And thank you for everything you do to promote common sense. And we'll catch up again real soon.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return,
but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though.
I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.